Hey everybody, it's Amy Anam Cara, and I am back for another interview. I have a return guest, so that is Michelle Pellin. Michelle was on a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah, it was a
And we had a
blast.
yeah, we had a great conversation here on my porch, and it's Friday, and we're both at our homes, and we're going to do a little happy hour kind of chat today, which is going to be great. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is we're going to be talking about ghosts. So, but if you haven't seen any of my videos, go back and, rewatch them and, give me a subscribe or a like or a shout out or whatever. I always feel like I'm peddling when I talk about that. But anyway, that's what everybody else does. So I guess I'll do it too.
You have
So,
to.
I know, I know. So how you doing, Michelle?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. What have you been up to since the last time I
Oh
sat down with
gosh.
you?
Well, the one of the more exciting things is that I teamed up with a fellow medium on TikTok that is part of my class. I take a professional level mentoring ship with Marie Hess. She's fantastic. If you've never checked her out,
Oh,
she's great.
wow.
And she's been doing it for about 8, 9 years now. And Samantha and I teamed up and we're doing TikTok lives together now. So I did that
Really?
the other night and it was so fun. It's so fun. Yeah.
That's
So doing
awesome.
that. Yep. And then I did a fundraiser with two of the shown members, Spirit Healers of New England. We'll talk about that, I'm sure.
Yep.
And we raised quite a bit of money for a dog shelter in Brantford, the Dan Cosgrove Shelter Rescue. And we did readings for like 75 people. It was crazy. It was so
Oh,
crazy. But I am
wow.
so happy we got all that money for the dogs.
That's amazing. So do you have your own TikTok channel or
I
whatever that?
do, yeah, at Spiritual Therapy CT, CT for Connecticut.
How many followers do you have?
I think it's like up to 2,300 now. It's
What?
getting there. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I had a TikTok, I don't know if you call it a channel, account, whatever. And I had like over 100 videos. I spent a whole year like doing video after video. And then I stopped for a while and went back, and my account has been permanently suspended.
How come?
I don't know. I mean, the reasons that they give are like I did something wrong or people were complaining about my account.
Hmm.
All I do is post stuff about, death and dying.
Oh, that's yeah. I was told by Samantha, death is one of the trigger words on TikTok. You don't say death, you don't say dying. So there you go.
So it's interesting though, because there's some really great content providers out there that, that's what they do. I mean, like there's Hospice Nurse Penny and
Yes, I've seen her.
Hospice
Yeah,
Haley and all of those, all those folks.
yes.
And they put up some really like woo stuff. And
Right, but they don't say the trigger words.
I
That's
don't
the
know. I
difference.
have to go back and look. But
Yeah.
anyway, so now I'm just gonna start over again. So that's kind of
And
disappointing.
isn't it sad that in 2024 that's a trigger word, right? We can
Oh
say
yeah.
all these other terrible words
Yes.
and we can't say death or dying on TikTok. Like what does that say about our society?
Well, that's exactly why I do what I do. That's exactly why I, promote, you know, conversations about death and dying because we need to talk about it, right? We need
Right.
to talk about it
Right. Yes,
on
we do.
all, yeah, on all fronts. We need to be talking about it. Um, so it was
100%.
yeah, it was pretty disappointing, but it's not over TikTok. It's not over.
Well, whoever buys it, maybe we'll change the rules. Who knows?
Oh, we'll see.
I
We'll
mean, that's
see.
an AI thing too, right? The computer's just picking it up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about ghosts.
Speaking
That's
of death,
because that's your thing. Michelle, how did you know? that you could speak to ghosts? Like, where did that come from?
Um, so I was at the holistic office. I had my awakening there back in 2018, and my friend Rosalind is a pet intuitive, and her and I like to do exchanges sometimes. And we did a couple of, I'm also a Reiki master, so we did a couple of Reiki exchanges. And I discovered I was able to tune into some of her people, and she's tuned into mine for sure. And then she said, well, she says, I have a friend named Paul Rice who does ghost work. And, I just, my stars in my eyes, I thought, wow, like, I didn't know there was such a thing. That's fantastic. I would love to meet him. And he said, yes, I'm starting a new class. And so we spent 2019, the whole summer together, in this class with other members, learning how to do ghost work. And I'm still friends with all those people, and they're all on the team. And it's been a fantastic journey ever since. Many, many wonderful, crazy stories of ghost work. So that's how I
So
knew.
so that was never on your radar. Like you weren't you when you grew up, there weren't, people walking around your bedroom at night or
No, I've always been into a lot of things. I've always been into witchcraft. I've always been into ghosts. I've always been into the supernatural in general. I actually did my senior high school thesis on ghosts, on poltergeists in particular. So I've always been very, very
oh,
interested in the topic of ghosts. And so that went away for a while. You go to college and then you get married and then you have children and
right.
all that just
You get in
buried it
line,
for a while.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't on purpose, I don't think. It was just I was too busy. I was concentrating on my family. So now that my children are adults, I can go back to my roots. But yes, I was fascinated with ghosts. I would read ghost stories, accounts. I would look at pictures all the time of these supposed apparitions, and I was fascinated with the whole thing. Scooby Doo. I'm sure people remember
Mhm.
that show. I wanted to be Velma.
So Velma's more of like the logical, right? So
Well,
did you go
I
into like
mean,
with
yes and
skepticism?
no. I mean, she believes in ghosts, but yeah, she tries to. I mean, that's what ghost work is. We try to disprove first, right? Because it could be an electrical problem. It could be something else going in the home, a
Right.
heating problem, a plumbing problem, who knows? Like there's a whole list of things it could be. So we try to rule that out first, before we just assume, oh yeah, there's ghosts here. So we don't usually go into a house and just automatically, unless it's so obvious. Sometimes it's really obvious, but
Mhm.
most of the time, Paul's very good about bringing in the equipment. He has special equipment that says, oh, yes, there's an electrical leak here. Go, go call an electrician and then call us back if that's not the problem.
Okay, so when you go on these investigations, then you do have equipment.
Yes, but it's only to check to see if it's something else beside ghosts. He
Okay,
doesn't really believe in it was EFS, right? Um,
yeah, I
the
see.
machines that pick up the ghosts or the spirit boxes. I mean, we've fooled around with that stuff, right? There's plenty of fun apps on your phone you can download, and we've done that stuff for fun, but we don't really take it seriously
Yeah.
because we don't know for sure if that is legitimate. Whereas if he trains you and develops your psychic abilities that everybody has, um, it's more provable because you're picking up on things and then you're asking the people who own the home or the business, does this sound right to you? Does this make sense to you? So some of what we pick up on can be validated. Whereas, there's other things that can't. If we're going back, oh yeah, there's a Native American on your property. Well, that's a little hard to prove, right? But a lot of it can be proven.
Yeah. So, like, what kind of things did, like, how were you trained? Like, what is that?
So a lot of the classes were just again about developing our psychic abilities, being able to sense things, becoming more sensitive. A lot of the classes we talked a lot about energy work. That's a big part of ghost work, energy work, using color therapy for energy work, using different colors in different situations for energy work, and using your auras to protect yourself. That's a big part of the class too, learning how to protect yourself,
Right.
learning how to help each other in challenging situations, how to back up each other, learning why a spirit is a ghost, because a spirit is a ghost, or a ghost is a spirit, but a spirit is not necessarily a ghost. It's like
Yeah.
shoe sneaker.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Good way to put it.
So, and being able to detect that, and again, validating each other. Oh, yeah, I see the same thing. What do you see? What do I see? Learning how to tune into different energies, learning how to move them on. That's a big part of it too. You're learning to be a ghost therapist because you tune into them and then you talk to them.
Right.
But if they still don't want to move on, you have to learn how to reason with them or have somebody else on the team back you up, because we all have different strengths. Sometimes, like if there's a bunch of wild animals in the woods that for some reason got stuck, maybe there was a fire, for example, we may do something different. Like there's this net technique that we use where we just kind of scoop them up. So it really depends on, we're not going to do that with people, right? We're not going to
Right.
put a net over a person.
Right. 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 Okay. So, so it kind of helps to train with other people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, any type of ghost work or rescue mediumship, I really should be done with a team, because what I can do is going to be different than what Paul is good at, than what different that was is Priscilla's strengths, etc. So a typical ghost job, usually if we go in with the typical people, is we sit down with the client and they tell us exactly what they've been sensing, feeling. They bring in other family members. Yeah, he feels this, she feels that, and the stories behind it. And then usually I'll go wandering off with the owner's permission, of course, to check the home and see what I sense. Priscilla usually stays behind because she is very, very good with connecting with the owners. She will become more empathic and kind of be in tune with them, and concentrate on their healing, because they've been through trauma a lot of times with noises that they don't understand, or things that it's confusing and scary sometimes. So she'll sit with them longer before she jumps in. And then Paul's usually with the electrical equipment at first, checking for that. And then he goes into some energy healing. He likes to do, like if there's a portal in the house or something, he likes that part of it. And
Okay.
I'm more into the ghosts, although he has sent many, many, many ghosts on as well. There's another member on the team, Michael, who came up with a technique to, if we have a big group of spirits. So like if we're at a site and there's 80 people, 80 spirits, 80 ghosts, whatever, that's going to take, we're not going to sit there and talk to 80 people
Right. Right.
individually.
Right.
That's not happening. So we have a technique for that as well.
So what do you like? What are you like? How do you see a ghost? Like everybody has
It,
different talents for
it's in
honing.
my mind's eye for the most part. I've only seen an apparition in person once, and that was happenstance at a local restaurant in Connecticut.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was just one time, and there's ghosts everywhere, honestly,
So,
especially
so,
in restaurants. But
so
as far as like how I see most spirits or ghosts, it's in my mind's eye. I'm seeing them and I'm experiencing them, I'm feeling them, and I can hear words or sentences pop in my head, like mediumship.
So when you see them, you're seeing them, as their body. You're seeing them in their clothes, what they would
Right.
look like. And so you can describe that to other people.
I can sometimes they want to show me a different era, right? Like that if they died at 86 and they didn't like the way their body looked, they may show me a version of them when they were 40 or 30. So that happens too.
Okay. And so how do you communicate with them? Do you communicate using like talking like out loud, or is it all this is all
Telepathy
happening?
usually in my head.
Okay.
Yeah, what's going on? Are you okay? And usually they'll tell me what's happening, and then I'll just try to push the point of, well, have you gone to the light? Oh no, I can't go to the light. It's scarier. Whatever the thing is, you try to reason with them. They
Right.
don't understand a lot of times that it's a revolving door. Just because you go to the light doesn't mean you never return. You can go back and forth. Like we can on the planet, we can take a train, a plane, a car to places, but spirit, oh, well, if I go in that light, I'm never coming out. That's not true.
Because they have an attachment to their life. They still have an attachment.
Sometimes that is the case, yes.
Yep. So it could
Sometimes
be
they
the family
have,
or the property or whatever.
right. Sometimes they're attached to the house. Sometimes they've got unfinished business. Sometimes they are scared, right? If they've been taught all their life there's a fire brimming pit of hell, then they're going to be afraid to go to the light because they're going to be judged. So there's that.
Okay. So do you give them an opportunity to like ask for forgiveness, or are you just like, hey, the light's over there, you're welcome to it?
I tell them there's no judgment because there isn't.
Yep.
They're going to have a life review. I mean, that's been proven over and over and over again through near death experiences that there are life reviews for everybody, but there's no judgment in those life reviews. It's all it is, hey, maybe you could do this different next time. That's all it is. It's not, you did this wrong. It was horrible. You're going to burn in hell. Those are all stories created by humans.
So is there a heaven and a hell?
There's no hell. There is a heaven, yes, if you want to call it that. It's a different dimension.
Interesting.
Yeah. Everything is here. Heaven is here, but we don't see it because it's in a different dimension. That's quantum physics.
Very interesting. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah, it's not up there. There is
No,
no
I
up
don't think it's
there.
up there with harps and and Jesus
No, because we've
sitting on the
already gone
cloud.
to the moon and disproven there's no up there. So
Right. Right. Right.
yeah, no, it's just in a different place. And most ghosts are, I believe, in the fourth dimension, which is right next door to where we are in the third dimension. So that's why they're easier to access. They're accessible that way.
Hmm.
Whereas if you're doing a reading for somebody in the fifth dimension, heaven, that's where I believe it is, then they have to meet you and you have to meet them. So it's a meeting together. They're lowering their vibration, you're raising yours.
Okay. And so how do you tune in to that frequency of talking to?
Intention, intention. Yeah. You put the intention out there. I mean, usually I'll pick up on whoever it is pretty quickly, and then you're just talking to that ghost or that spirit,
Okay.
having a conversation, if you will. They're just people without a body.
Well, some
And
people are
ghosts have
some
been
people are
human
nicer than others,
now.
right? So you're
What?
gonna have you're I said, some people are nicer than others. So you
Sure.
have
Yeah,
spirits that are
absolutely.
nicer than others.
So that's a good point. So ghosts are in the in between. So they're still got one foot in the human world. So yeah, they're going to be, some of them are going to be grouchy. Some of them are going to be go away. I've had ghosts say, no, you're a woman, go away. We're talking about different time periods here.
Right.
I've had ghosts say that they do want a woman and they don't want to talk to Paul. So that happens too. So yes, there are grouchy, there are angry. We've felt their anger. We have felt their fear. Absolutely. But once they go to the light, they're pure love. People that are you talk to in mediumship world are not angry anymore. They're not fearful anymore.
Right.
They're in a higher vibration.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's the difference. I mean, if you want an essential difference between a ghost and a spirit that's in heaven, the spirits that which is most spirits, by the way, most spirits are in heaven. It's not like, oh my God, I have to worry about my loved one. He's a ghost. No, that doesn't happen very often. It does happen, but it's not often. And
So
they have a foot in the human world.
are there lower vibrational beings?
Yes, but they're not human. And I don't like to use the word demon because demon is another word for spirit.
It
Uh,
is. Yes, you're right.
yeah, and that's, that again, that's a man-made creation. But yes, do I believe in lower level spirits? Yeah, they're around. Absolutely. Trickster energy.
So where does that come from? That's not the same thing as elemental.
I mean, tricksters are, yeah, can be elemental. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know where the origin, I don't know if anybody knows the
Yeah.
true origin of where the low level spirits came from. Just like we don't really know the origin. I mean, we can guess what the origin is of man, but or souls. Like nobody truly knows the origin of souls.
So have
So
you
nobody really knows the true origin of low level trickster energy either.
have you come across trickster
Oh
energy?
gosh, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
scary?
Yeah. I mean, it's all what you make of it, right? Like they're gonna mess with you, but they're not gonna really hurt you. I mean, we had a job 3 weeks ago. Um, my friend said there's a place that I have a friend that has a property that this older gentleman passed, and his car is still parked there because it's a fairly recent passing. And she believes he's still hanging out. And there were two there were two incidences with cars, in one was in the neighbor's yard and one was in her yard, where the vehicles lost control. Nobody was hurt. It wasn't like that, but we believe it was related to this ghost. I mean, that's not, I guess that's not technically trickster energy, but this is a good example of an angry ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Got it.
so he influenced all the men in that group that night to the point where I couldn't get any of them to be quiet for 2 minutes while I talked to this old man. They were teasing him. They were teasing me. This is not the norm of our group. They're all like great people. One of them was angry. One of them opened all the car doors randomly just to upset the ghost. Like this was not normal behavior of these men. And so we concluded that
Huh.
the ghost influenced them because they could feel his anger. A trickster example better would be another job we had where we went to this apartment, and um, after the long night was coming to an end, I said, I think that there's something going on here, but I don't know. I can't seem to figure out the trickster energy. I don't know how to fix it. And my mentor, Paul, said, well, it's probably for her best and highest good that she learned her lessons. That's not something Paul would normally say. That's not at all like
Wow.
him. He's more, let's get the job done and let's get it done and leave. Like that's not, he wants everybody to be happy.
Right.
Um,
So
so
did
we
you call
concluded
him on
that
that?
night. Hmm?
Did you call him on that? Were you like,
Oh, I
sorry?
did. I called, yes, I said, excuse me?
I can see you doing that. So
I
that's
said,
why I'm like,
excuse
wait a
me, that
minute.
doesn't sound like something you would normally say. What does that mean? I said, we're here to help her. No, we're not, no. So
Wow.
it does happen. It does, that ghosts and spirits can, but I don't want people to think that, oh my God, ghosts are gonna influence everything. Let me tell you something. Spirits influence all the time. They do. They talk to us, they guide us all the time. I can't tell you how many times I've been out and about and thought I was there for me, whatever the activity is, and then I realized, oh yeah, this wasn't for me. This was for so and so that needed the lift.
Right.
So this
Right.
happens a lot.
Wow. So
But yeah,
what's
tricksters are just energy that just wants to, they just want to mess with you.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah,
What's the
I don't know.
motivation?
I'm not a trickster expert. I'm not a fae expert, an elemental expert.
Hmm.
I have a lot to learn in that department.
Yeah. That's interesting. So what is the your most memorable place that you visited as far as ghosts?
Ooh, I gotta pick one.
Pick one. Yes.
All right. Two of them come to mind actually. One was a job we did at a historical site, and the ghost, this was actually a fun one. The ghost was from probably a couple hundred years ago, and it was a bride, and she never, it was really like a sad story where the man came to visit her, and they both got really sick and they both died and they never got to marry. Like, that's a real story. And so she came to me and she did not want to leave my side, and I didn't know how to move her on. And I said to Paul, I think she wants to get married. So he said, okay. So we called down these other spirits and we had a spirit wedding for her. And we pulled, he took, got her husband,
Wow.
to be, to come down. And that was, yeah, that was one of the coolest things ever. Because she
That's
was not
really
leaving
cool.
me alone. She was like following me around like a little shadow. She was like 19 when she died. She was young. So there's that fun story. Um, the other one that I'm thinking of is the nursery school that we did. And that used to be a rectory of a certain church. And there were there were so many ghosts in there. They were causing havoc, flushing toilets, scaring kids, making kids sick, making the teachers sick. It was nuts.
Was
And
it
there was
was
all
it
sorts of things, going on in the land. There was like this priest that was shady, that did things to the kids, a million years ago. Um,
okay.
so yeah, it was that kind of just really stuck, awful energy plus ghosts. And it took, I think there was like 8 of us there that day. It was a big team effort, and we cleared the place out. We haven't heard from them since.
Does it take one visit or multiple visits?
It depends. That was one visit. Sometimes I've had Paul go back to jobs 3, 4, 5 times. That's usually if it's a portal, and it needs to be closed and he didn't get to do it or it didn't hold or whatever.
Wow.
So that'll happen. Yeah, he's going, we go back until the job is done. We don't ask for extra money. Like, it's got to be done. We got to
Oh,
finish the job.
no, you want to
We
you
had
want to
another story that was a private house, and beautiful, beautiful house. And the family was plagued by ghosts. I mean, the mother was psychic and she didn't realize it. And she was feeling like ghosts were coming in and out, in and out, in and out. And there was a portal in her basement. I said, Paul, this feels like Grand Central Station to me. It went all the way up through her kitchen because the basement was under the
hmm
kitchen.
hmm
And the little girl that was there, 3 years old, she called them the Blinkies before we got there. She nicknamed these ghosts the Blinkies because they looked like little lights to her. Little
Wow.
kids can see stuff like that because they're open. And we closed the portal. We got all the ghosts taken care of. And I said to the mom, I want you to walk her around without us and see if she says if there's any blinkies. And she came back and said, Mommy, no more blinkies.
Wow.
You can't get, any more validation than
Right.
that.
Right. And they've never called you back or anything like that. So,
I think that there was like one follow-up with Paul, but it wasn't, yeah. It again, we whenever the job gets done, it gets done.
yeah. Yeah. So I'm actually reading a book right now. It's called The Book of Seances by Claire Goodchild. It's this book
Okay.
right here. I don't know
I've
if you've
seen
heard
it.
of
I
her.
haven't read it.
It's pretty, I mean, it's pretty simple, but I've enjoyed reading it. And so I want to ask you, like, she goes through a number of different techniques that people use to
Mhm.
communicate, with spirits. So I'm curious, I want to know like your experiences, if you've had any experience, let's say with scrying. Have you ever done scrying?
I'm not an expert scryer, but I have tried it.
So you've tried it. And so like, what did you use to scry? Was it with a candle? Was it with a
I've tried
mirror?
it with a candle. I've tried it with a water. I've tried it with just general fire. I've tried it with a black mirror.
And you didn't find much
Absolutely.
success with it.
It was okay. It's I didn't really connect with it like I do
Yep.
the tarot cards. So
Hmm. Yep.
yeah.
So you use the tarot cards.
Yep.
So you use the tarot cards to communicate with spirits?
I will do that. I had a reading this week, as a matter of fact, where she had a boatload of specific questions for her loved ones
Yeah.
that I've tuned into before. This was like the third or fourth time I've seen her. And so it was just easier to use the tarot to create a story for her. And it worked out really, really well.
Yeah, I have I mean, I've talked to you about this. I go to cemeteries, I
Mhm.
do card readings. There's no way for me to validate, you know what I
Right.
mean? Because I'm alone.
Right.
So I'm always kind of going, well, is this real? Is it not
Yeah.
real? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you just sort of like have to kind of let that go. But I've been working a lot with my cards. Um, I've been using them like with my ancestors
Mhm.
lately to try to become more communicative with my ancestors, which this is kind of like new to me. So,
Absolutely. You should create a ancestral altar if you don't already.
I have, and each morning for the last week I've had coffee with my mother. So
Nice.
I pour her a cup of coffee, I light a candle, I pulled some flowers from my garden, things that she would like.
I love that.
I've started
That's way cool. Yeah.
yeah, I started pulling cards that way and just asking for her like, what kind of a message do you have for me today? And today wasn't really a great message. I'll be honest. But,
Okay.
but I'm writing things down and
Mhm.
keeping track of things. Um
Mhm.
so I really like using the tarot cards. And as I was doing the tarot cards today, I was thinking to myself, does my mother even know how to use these?
Well, there's a good
Me?
point. I mean, I believe we know everything when we're dead. So probably,
Yeah.
I mean, you could say the same thing about this young lady I read's family. Like they
Mhm.
probably didn't read tarot cards, but
Right.
yet they were speaking through the cards really beautifully.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever tried automatic writing?
I have. I actually recommend that to a lot of my clients to do.
I
Yes.
find it hard.
You have to start writing nonsense, in the beginning. Like this is silly. I don't know about this, kind of nonsense gibberish. and then you kind of like get into that meditative state, and then you let the pen flow.
So automatic writing, for viewers out there, is just really you're sitting down with a pen and paper, you're connecting with a spirit, and you're really channeling, right? Would you
Right.
call it channeling? You're channeling, and then you've got to kind of like, I don't want to say like clear your mind, but you sort of have to really kind of like open it and just kind of let yourself go.
Well, the
And
way I like to describe it is if you're into sports and people talk about being in the zone,
the flow, right?
or if you play an instrument. Also, I used to play the piano, so I know what that feels like, where all of a sudden your hands are just playing and you're not really there. That's
Right,
your subconscious mind taking over the notes.
right. It takes
So,
practice.
yeah, that's what you're doing with the pen and paper. You're letting your subconscious mind answer the questions. It's for people, for my clients who are really intelligent and use their thinking mind a lot, it's really hard for them to put their
Okay, because that's not that I'm
conscious
saying that I'm
mind.
intelligent. I'm not intelligent,
You
but feel
are
like
intelligent.
I feel like I have a
Yeah.
very busy mind. Like like I have a very busy mind.
Yeah.
So it's that whole thing where I'm like, I can't just settle down.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've never tried doing it while walking around, but maybe you could do that if you want to try to write while you walk. I don't know. That would be,
I
a
think I
little
would hurt myself.
challenging, but not impossible.
Right, right.
Or you
Um,
could turn music on, try to do
yes,
that, two things at once theory might work.
right. I'm gonna try. I mean, I'm trying like little things at a time.
Mm-hmm.
What about and I texted you about this earlier this week, the psychometry. So that's like
Psychometry, yeah.
like taking
That's
an
how
object.
I started with mediumship. So that's something that anybody can do. Just get a photo of somebody that you know's loved one that you've never met, and just look into their eyes in the picture and see what you get. Keep, writing down word after word. But you could also do it if you want to do psychic, you could do it with keys. Have somebody give you their car keys and just see what you feel. And you'll pick up a lot on car keys because the energy is in the keys. Actually, my friend Sharon is really good at psychometry. So
Really?
that's a skill. You could do it with any object that is, if the energy of that, that, because the anything around us, the energy gets absorbed into that. So the more you've used it, the easier it is for the person, the psychic, to tap in. So,
Okay.
like, I mean, I guess this is a little form of psychometry. I don't know, but I'll often use trees to ask about what happened at the site. Like if,
Oh,
for
that makes
example,
sense.
hmm,
That makes sense. Right, like they're literally like the property watchers.
mm-hmm, right. So when we did we went up to the circus fire memorial. I think that was
Oh.
last year we did that. It was summer. And it's a beautiful, it's in a really bad section of Hartford, so don't go alone. Bring somebody with you. Self disclosure there. Please don't get hurt. Broken glass, you name it around. But
Yeah.
but the memorial itself is gorgeous. They did a beautiful, beautiful job. It's behind an abandoned school. So that needed some attention. We
Mhm.
found out because there weren't people there, thank goodness. There weren't any ghosts hanging out there. It was animals. Some of the animals got left behind, the
Oh,
elephants in particular. So that's what the trees were telling me. Go heal the elephants.
wow.
The ones that were there in the 40s, the big, big monster
Right,
trees.
right. So what do you do? Do you take so you literally like hold an object?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
You're
you just
just
close your eyes and see what you tune into. Absolutely. Yep. Metal
I
seems
think
to work really well. So, like coins would be another good one.
yes.
You have a penny there. Yeah. But it has to be something where the energy is in the. You could do this with a crystal. One of the things we did as baby ghost workers was Paul had us tune into the crystals and see what we got. A lot of the crystals are millions of years old or thousands of years old. And so we were able to tune into that, what was it like all that time ago?
Right. Right. So you like using psychometry? Do you like
Oh
using it?
yeah. Yep, I
Yeah.
do. Yeah, I don't use it all the time. Um, but yeah, no, it's definitely relevant.
So that's where I think like it's good to have a partner, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? To give you something, as you're
Right.
training, right? So
I mean,
that
if
you can
we're
get some kind of
technically,
validation.
yeah, absolutely. If we're technically saying psychometry when it comes to ghost work too, I mean, that actually, now that I think of it, we use it more than I thought. We will often feel furniture.
Yeah.
Sometimes we felt haunted furniture, haunted, an old antique or a mirror or something. So we'll
Yeah.
use it for that. And the house itself, sometimes if we're not allowed in the house for whatever reason, uh say it's abandoned or whatever, we'll often do a lot of the work on the outside of the
Yeah.
house using
Right.
photometry.
Right. Like the floors, like that kind of stuff. Like I would think like touching the
Yeah, I
floor.
didn't think about the floor, but yeah, yeah. I mean, usually I'll just stand there. If I think it's something in the floor, I'll just stand there. Well, see, there's another good point. You can pick up on the floor. I'll give you a story that it just popped in my head. So one of my very first ghost jobs, during COVID, Paul was like, "Who wants to come?" At the very beginning of COVID, everybody was like, "No, thanks." I said, "I'll wear a mask and come. I don't care. I want to come." So that was the first job I did with him. And there was in the living room, I kept feeling there's something going on with this spot. I don't know. And it was on the floor. It was a wooden floor. There's something wrong with this spot. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. And so the lady of the house said to me, "Well, our dog just passed 3 weeks ago, and that's the exact spot the dog
Aw.
died." So the energy of the dog's passing was in that spot.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and another example would be another house we did. There was wooden steps, and my colleague and I, Ann, we couldn't figure out what was it about the 10th step that was weird, because the family reported that they kept tripping in a certain spot on the stairs, even though the stairs looked even. It didn't look like anything was out of sorts, building.
Right.
And so I couldn't figure, I'm like, how am I supposed to heal a step? I don't understand. And then it came to my brain, oh my God, this step used to be a tree. Why don't I just talk to it? It used to be a tree. I talked to trees, and that's how we healed that. We used energy work to heal the step.
Did you find out what the glitch was with the step?
I forget. Honestly, that was years
Okay.
ago. I forget.
That's
I
so
forget the
interesting,
specifics. Yeah. Yep.
but it makes
So,
it makes a lot
so
of sense.
yeah, I take that back. We use psychometry a lot more than I thought about.
Yeah. Oh, I have a good one. Do you or have you used spirit boards?
So I have, I've never used them on a ghost job
Hmm.
because that would take forever, right?
Right.
ACR.
Right.
Oh my God, like we're here for
Right.
hours. That like pendulums, that's another one. Oh, come on already, answer me. So
Hmm.
that's why we tune in with our abilities because it's a lot faster.
Right.
Um, but yes, I have used talking boards, Ouija boards, whatever you want to call them. People are scared of them because of the movies mostly. And not only that, people abuse them. We had another house where there was several teenagers. I think some of them lived in the house and some of them just hung out in the house quite a
Yeah.
bit. And they used a Ouija board all the time to summon trickster energy. And so that's what's going to happen. You're going to have a house full of tricksters hanging out. So it's all
Yeah.
how you use the board. I mean, it's just cardboard and plastic. It's not it's not anything more than that, but people
It's the
abuse it.
intention.
Right.
It's the invitation.
Yes.
Who are
Right.
you inviting in?
Right. Yes. And I did that. That was another thing I did as a kid. I loved my Ouija board as a child
Yeah.
and used it quite a bit.
Mhm.
With friends and without friends. You can do
Yeah.
it by yourself. It's harder, but you can.
So yeah, I mean, I had a best friend, and we used to go up to the third floor, and we were just doing, and it was for real. It was
Yeah.
for real.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah. I mean, some of the things I asked it about, I didn't, they didn't give me correct information about the future.
Right.
Like
Who's
I was going
gonna
to have a
marry me
child
now?
named Fred. I don't have any children named Fred. So, stuff like that.
Right. Right.
But yeah, it's again, it's trickster energy. They're going to give you, if you invite that in, they're going to give you silly answers.
Exactly. And then oh, have you done anything with tea leaves?
I have not. I have had a tea reading, and I know who does tea leaf readings, but I've never done it myself.
What did you think of the tea leaf reading for
It was
yourself?
interesting. I wrote everything down that he told me, and it wasn't particularly validating. I'm not saying that I don't believe in it. I think I would need more evidence.
Yeah, I'm curious about trying that. I'm all for like just trying stuff. So,
Yeah, me too.
I
Absolutely.
mean, yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
I think there's people probably that can do a better job with
yeah,
teeth. I think that's one of those, like with astrology, like you have to be really skilled at tea leaves to do it correctly. That's what I believe.
right. Right. And then you already kind of said pendulums. I really enjoy using pendulums.
Mhm.
Um, I like to go out into the cemetery, and that's where I find good spots where I want to throw my blanket down and do it.
Right.
Um, and I
So
also
I don't use pendulums much anymore because I could use my body
Mhm.
for a pendulum. You can use the,
Yep.
yes, if you fall this way, or no, if you fall that way, or you can do
Right.
it this way too.
Yes.
Yes or no.
Yep.
So I'll often do that if I'm unsure. But
Hmm.
I've gotten to the point now where I know if I ask my guide a question, I know it's the truth. So
Right.
the more you do that, the less you'll need the pendulum.
Yeah. And I also use it in my tarot card readings. If I find that um it doesn't make sense, I'll
Yeah.
pull a card and it doesn't make sense. And I'm like, is this really the right card? Are you really showing me the right card?
Ah,
And they'll say
okay.
no. And I'm like,
Yeah.
then it's not the right card. And
You
so
can also use it to find lost objects. One of my friends taught me that.
so how do you use it for that?
Oh, could you lead me to the lost sock?
Okay. And then it's going, woo.
And it'll
Yeah,
show you,
yeah,
and then you
hot and
just
cold, right?
it takes a little while because it's going to be slow, but
Right.
yeah, it
Right.
works. I mean,
It,
you got to remember our subconscious brain remembers everything. It's the conscious brain that doesn't. So you're
right.
tapping into that subconscious part of you when you use the pendulum. So that's a really good use for it.
Right. And have you ever used the dowsing rod? I think you said you
I
had.
love my dowsing rods. I don't use them enough. They're fun.
I want to get a pair. So
Yeah.
so how does that work?
It's sort of like the pendulum. You say, okay, cross for yes, uncrossed for no, or the opposite, or you can make an I don't know. And it works. Like it's crazy how well it works. I've had other people do it with me. It's a fun way to communicate with the spirits.
Do you use it a lot?
I don't use it enough. Mine just sit on the shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, you after a while, you just know, right? You don't need that stuff, but I think it's fun. It's showy, and it's a lot of fun to use.
That's interesting. Maybe I
Yeah.
should get a pair and we should go out somewhere
Oh, absolutely.
and
They're a blast.
have some
I
fun
could
with it.
bring mine next time I see you. You could
So
try
like where did you get yours? Is it copper?
Amazon.
Is it copper?
Yes.
Okay, because that's
Yeah.
important, I think.
Yeah,
That
I guess so. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the first time you use them, it's like, wow, these really do move. This is so cool. So yeah, it's fun to watch.
Wow, okay. Anything else that I forgot that you like to use or that you've tried?
Um, well, runes is not in there, and
Okay.
I don't have a lot of runes experience. I would like to learn more about runes. I'm still learning about the cards, but that's something that's a whole nother
Mhm.
level as far as tuning into spirit. Um, Table tipping is another one. That's
Oh,
always fun.
let's talk about the seance. Have you done like a
I
seance?
Yes, once at the Church of Eternal Light in Bristol, I did a seance, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was the whole room felt very electrical because you could tell like everybody was calling in their ancestors. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Um the person who did the seance was an experienced witch medium, and she would go around and everybody got a message, and then you could write down whatever you came up with. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. The table tipping was another activity, and that was done somewhere else, and that was amazing. That was amazing.
Really?
I brought three women with me that are very strong people that I said to them, you need to look for the wires, like in the pedals, because I want to make sure this is legitimate.
Right.
And
Right.
nobody in that group found anything. Nobody. And there were four of us and the two mediums. And the fun part of that is it's sort of like a big Ouija board because you're getting answers through the table will tap. You know, okay, if the first letter is B, so the table's going to go up and down twice. And then it's E, then it's going to go up 5 times. So it's very slow if you're asking it for anything
Wow.
than a yes or a no.
Right.
But a fun story with that is well, not really fun, but really cool story is that happened right before my stepfather passed away. And I had heard from my family that he was making a turnaround. The doctors thought he was doing well and they were celebrating. He lived in North Carolina. And um my grandmother came in during that. Everybody got a turn to tap into one person, and that was
Yep.
my person. And I said to my grandmother, is he going to make it? And she said no. And then, so of course,
So
that made me sad.
your grandmother on the other side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She died in 94. He died in 2020. So, so
Oh,
then, Blessed Mother came in. They called her in, the mediums did. And that's one of the deities I love to work with in ghost work because she really helps me with like the children and the babies. And the whole table tipped towards me, and I felt my whole body tingle. And I said, "What was that?" And they said that was Blessed Mother giving you a hug. Like that was just
wow.
freaking amazing. Freaking, and the energy is different. So when it's a spirit, yeah, you can hear the tapping, right? But when it's Blessed Mother or Archangel Michael, whoo, like it's that's energy. That's amazing energy. Like it's nothing like you've ever felt.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
So I would definitely do another table tipping. That was a really, really cool experience.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Yeah,
Yeah. That sounds like fun.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Because
there's all sorts of other things too, right? Like there's people that do like things with color energy and auras, and
yes.
there's
Yep.
so much. There's you're never gonna like cover it all in this lifetime.
No, but I like to at least like try as much as I can, you know what I mean, and try to. I mean, I don't want to like just stick with tarot cards.
Right,
You know, I'd like to kind of like branch out a little bit because maybe there's something that I can do that's even better than tarot cards. I don't know,
right,
you know?
right. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's not good to have all your eggs in one basket.
Hmm. Yeah,
Good to
yeah,
branch out. Absolutely.
yeah. So, I think that's it. What do you think? Do you have anything else that you want to talk about?
I just want to just say to the audience that don't be afraid, like if you feel like you have a ghost or a spirit hanging out in your house, first of all, you're not crazy. There's that, right? People, oh, I can't tell anybody because people want to certify me.
Right.
But also don't be afraid to reach out for help. Not only there's us, healers of New England, but there's also many other really respectable paranormal groups. Don't go to a hunter, don't go to a ghost hunter because they're just there for the thrill and to harass the ghosts. Make sure whoever you pick, they're respectable and are going to treat the ghosts with dignity and respect because that's what they
Right.
deserve.
Right. And then they can, um, yeah, it's one thing to just identify, yeah, there's something here, but you need to help the family at the
Right.
same time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They're traumatized. I mean, usually we go in, heal the house, and then we heal the people.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's why we're all trained energy workers in some way, shape, or form. And so before we leave, we make sure we check their auras and heal if there's anything going on there for them because
Right.
they've been traumatized.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not just okay, we got rid of the ghost, bye. No. It's a
Right.
it's a treatment. Yeah, that's important. And we love what we do. We don't ask for anything more than gas money. So it's
That's
yeah,
nice.
nobody's
I like
ever made a
that.
profit off of ghost work.
Yeah, I like that a lot because there's a
Yeah.
lot of people out there that are not like that.
Well,
So,
like I do charge for mediumship and tarot readings, but I have to pay the bills, right? Like I think
yeah,
it's okay to charge something because there has to be an energy exchange and we do ask for
agreed.
gas money, but like in that case it's more of a passion and we get so much out of it, right? We get the experience. A lot of these you don't have to, but a lot of these families have put out like these beautiful spreads for us. What do they call those platters with the meat and the cheese
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah. A crudité or whatever it's called.
yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we get a lot out, but we get referrals, oh, I heard about my friend, blah, blah, blah. So we get that out of it too.
Like
And we get in different parts of the state.
how often do you go out?
It
Like how
really
often?
depends on when we get a call. Sometimes it's months in between, and sometimes we get bombarded. Like I think, was it last week or the week before? We had like two or three. So it
Wow,
depends. In winter, people tend to hibernate, so we don't get as many calls in the winter as we do in the warmer weather.
that's true. That's true. I know you before we started recording, you were talking about a bridge in Portland that you recently did some work on. You want to talk a
Right.
little bit about that?
Well, there's a lot of people jumping from that bridge. And so I don't know if it's going to do any good, but my colleague and I went and did some energy work on the bridge. I mean, it doesn't hurt to try. Um, so we'll see what happens. We did some clearing, we did some uh protective energy.
That's
It's
awesome.
it was just an hour of our time and we figured it was worth a shot.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that a
Yeah.
lot. So, all right, Michelle. Well, I guess we talked for a while and my glass is just about empty.
Okay. Time
Yeah,
for refill.
yeah. Yes, exactly. But thank you so much for doing this. I'm looking forward. Let's keep doing this because this is I'm
Yeah, we
having
could do a series. Absolutely.
yeah, I think that would be fun. We'll have to brainstorm on that. So
Sure.
yeah, but thanks everybody for checking in and watching, and please be sure to look for Michelle on her other social media platforms. And I'm just so pleased that I'm getting to know her and that we're doing this. So everybody have a great rest of your day. Thanks again, Michelle, and we'll see you all soon. Bye.
Bye.